All right, so someone reached out to me about JSON parsing in Google Apps Script. There are existing tools that do this, but they're paid tools. And for parsing custom search engine results, this is pretty basic stuff, so you don't really need like some sort of existing tool. We can parse that pretty easily. So let's go ahead and do it. CSE parse test. So you'll create your spreadsheet, or if you have an existing spreadsheet, I recommend just creating like a staging sheet where you're going to house this script, and then you can just make copies of the sheet as you're working on different data sets. So first things first, I'm going to pop in these links. You can have as many, you don't have to limit it just to your links. You can have as many columns as you want with other data in there. Just make sure that you get the header name that you are targeting, and that needs to go right here. So let's copy this code over. We're going to create a new script. So I recommend using the old version. So if you see this app script editor, I recommend clicking the use legacy editor. The new editor is dog shit. Don't use it. It's going to fuck up your world. Okay. So let's go through here. Again, this is your column name, your column header name. You need to make sure that that matches this. As long as it does, the rest of this should work. Okay. So let's run through this quickly. Here we are going to get the current sheet, the current active sheet, which is this sheet 1 in this case. We are then going to get the table values. I've got this function here that you just pass through the sheet. It brings back a table that's, just a tight table that has the max rows, max columns, and everything else is blanked out. Then we use this function to get the target index of the column for which we need, which is this column name. So we pass through the table and then the column name. This is the new header for the updated table that we're going to create with the search results. Down here, we loop through that table. We start off with the second index, which is index 1, because the first index here is the header, and we don't need that because that does not contain any of our URLs. Finally, here we will clean up the URL, because if you can't have any white spaces and the quotes need to be converted. So we've converted white space to %22 white space to %20 and quotes to %22. And then we fetch the URL, we get that response, and we parse it because it's a text response, but that text is JSON, so we can parse it without having to do anything to it. Now we want to create the updated row, so we take the current row that we're on, which contains the URL and any other data, and then we add in some data that we're pulling back from the search results. So in this case, we're getting the link, the snippet, and the title. If you just want the link, you can delete those two items and these two items up here. Finally, then we are going to push that updated row into the updated table. And then we are going, once that loop finishes, we are going to create a new sheet. So this is going to be the sheet name for the new sheet. So it's a CSE results _ and then a timestamp. That's just to make sure that it's a unique sheet in case you've got multiple sheets running at this point. And then from there, we will insert that sheet. We will call upon that sheet by the name that we created, and then we will push the data that we have, the new data that we have, into that sheet. So let's run it. You will need to review some permissions. Review permissions. Well, maybe I'd already given it permissions. I guess I did. But yeah, just to authorize it, you might have to click go advanced or whatever. But anyway, here are the results that we have. So we have the initial data that we put in there, the result link, the snippet, the title of the search result, etc., etc. Now let's Let's look at it if we put in some other data at the same time. So I'm going to run this on some more information here. And again, I need to make sure that I change my header, and it needs to be a unique header. So this is the same as this, which means it's not going to work. So we're going to change this to CSE URL. Okay. You can name it whatever you want. It just needs to be unique, or it at very least needs to be the first header with that name. So I mean, I guess you could have this named that as well, and it would be fine. But it's going to get the first one. All right. So let's give this a run and see how it works. So now we have another sheet with all of that information. So it just appends the new stuff here, right? Anyway, that's it. If you like this sort of content and you want to support it, you can, like, I don't know, comment or like, or you can click in the links here in the description. There'll be a place where you can donate to my Patreon, stuff like that. Or you can not also. Or you can thumbs down it if you think this is shit. You can do that too. Or if you just don't like looking at my face, all that stuff. Have at it.